Okay, so important thing before we start.
See?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Radek. Happy birthday to you.
That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Michael.
I'm Radek,
And this is the podcast.
a sounding board for interesting ideas and insights. We discuss books we read and want to share with you.
As well as technology and productivity, which is what we do by day, working on our app, Nozbe.
Or whatever else comes to mind. You know, all I want for birthday is the iPhone 10.
All I want for Christmas is X. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't, be pronouncing iPhone 10. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I prefer iPhone X because for me it's like this X factor, this different iPhone, like a completely
Yeah.
new era iPhone. So the iPhone X, like, sounds more edgy, and makes more sense, because
Yeah.
the first question when they announced the iPhones from my 8-year-old daughter, who really likes gadgets because she's my daughter. So she asked me, "Okay, father, if there's an iPhone 8 and iPhone 10, where's the 9?"
I think the idea behind that is that the iPhone 10 is a phone from the future.
Okay.
And that's why it skipped a number. But at the same time, I bet that some executive just really like the way X looks on their website.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, if the iPhone 10 is the phone from the future, then iPhone 8 should be in theory the iPhone from the current times. But it sounds like an iPhone from the past.
Yeah, it's true. It's ridiculous because I just the X or the 10. I don't care. I'll use both interchangeably. It's really cool. And we'll talk about what might not be cool or is cool, whatever. But it's so obviously the future phone, right?
Yeah.
And the 8 is just, it's one of those moments where it's kind of embarrassing for Apple because they want to, do the right thing, and like once they do something, they do it for real, and they want to make the best implementation of it. But they've waited so long for the borders around the phone to get smaller. Like right now in 2017, the massive top and bottom of the phone just looks ridiculous. Like you compare it to any like cheap Android phone, and it's ridiculous. It looks so from the past, even though everything inside is so high end. And it's just I wish they've made a half step before that with iPhone 7 and iPhone 8, which should really be the 7S, that they've made a half step and made the phone borders smaller, but without going all in, which they're doing with the 10, which is obviously much more difficult.
Yeah. Well, you're right. So the bezels are not there anymore. For me, this is this phone is a dream come true because
Yes.
as we know, my hands are very small. I am a tiny person, so me having this iPhone 7 Plus, I just love it because I have lots of screen estate, but I don't love that I am wasting so much space with the bezels, and especially as you said, the top and the bottom of the phone. So I can't wait to have the phone, and it's going to be smaller. It's going to fit in my pocket better than an iPhone 7 Plus, and it's going to be even bigger. I mean, the 5.8 inch screen, so even bigger screen.
Yeah, it really feels like finally. Like I really wanted this phone for quite a while. Because I really did not want a larger phone, like physically, but I want more, screen real estate. And personally, just for me, the big selling point is that I'll finally have the dual camera system.
Yeah, the one that I have on my Plus phone.
Yeah, you do, and I really wanted it, but I couldn't convince myself to like switch to the Plus because it's just so massive, like so impractical for me. But it allows so much, the dual camera system, and I love taking pictures with my iPhone. So it's a huge step up. Just this thing, which is unrelated for the fact that it's the iPhone X or the 10, but for me that's one of like the biggest selling points.
Yeah, I love doing the portrait mode is one of my best features of the Plus phone, especially when you're a dad of 3 girls. So I really like taking pictures of them, and I have some really cool portrait pictures of all of them. So it's and whenever I send these to my parents or my wife's parents, they just love these pictures. So and I love them too. So it's really fantastic. And also the second aspect is this optical zoom. You don't have to be so close to the kids playing, and you still take good pictures, because this is what I like about my traditional, I have this traditional DSLR camera with a zoom lens, and I love it because I'm like a sniper, so I can be really far away from the kids and still take really great pictures of them playing, especially outside, because of course the zoom lens works perfectly with nice sunlight. And now with the Plus phone, it's very similar. I am sometimes a little bit farther away, but I just tap to have the double zoom, and then I'm instantly closer, and the picture is just better. I don't have to crop the picture anymore.
Yeah. That's another thing that's really frustrating with mobile photography is that everything is so wide, and even having the 2x zoom available is it's already allows much more that wasn't possible before. So I'm all for it. And obviously, as every year, the camera itself, the optics, the stabilization and the sensor get slightly better every year. So it's just all better all around. And any improvement is great because still what we have is better and better, but not quite what you can do with a DSLR. And I'm just never going to carry around a larger camera with me. I want to be able to take great pictures with my phone.
Yeah, I have the bigger camera. I carry it very rarely, so I totally get it. And so before we move to the controversial features, what is already available on the past iPhone 8 and present, or the future iPhone 10 or iPhone X, is the faster processor. And for me, this was one of the mind-blowing things that they announced, because the faster processor, the A11 or whatever, is faster than the MacBook Pro 13. Yeah. And this was like, whoa. I mean, seriously, this year's MacBook Pro 13, not some, 10-year ago configuration. No, this year's MacBook Pro 13 is slower in Geekbench, or I don't know which bench, but whatever, any test, than the current iPhone. And this is mind-boggling.
Yeah, and this is amazing. Like, I've been saying this for like 2 years now. I think I've been of the opinion that ARM on the Mac is inevitable. It's just a matter of time. And we're seeing this. Like, we're seeing the benchmarks catch up. And this is for a really tiny, very small, very low TDP processor. And you just, without any changes, you scale it up to be able to be like 28 watts instead of 7 watts. And wow, you have so much power, right?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed on this show when you got the MacBook Pro, the 15-inch, and it's the whole new design, but it was after 3 years, it was just 10% faster than the last ones. Yeah,
20%. Yeah.
Or how many?
20% over 3 years.
20%, and now
that's still just because I took the special upgrade to have the best of the best.
Exactly, and then the this year's refresh of I mean the second iteration of your computer is also 10% faster, I think. Yeah. I mean, just a little bit more. And these iPhones, these A10, A11, A9 chips, they are just like 50 or 60 or 100% faster, like year over year. This is just amazing. They can still, I mean, there is still room. So the A12 next year is going to be really fast. I mean, so it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. One more thing I'll add about the pictures that I love is that the capability has been greatly improved just with software alone. Because I love that in iOS 11, the portrait picture thing is not just a one-off special feature, but that in the picture file itself, you have the original, sensor data, and you have a layer of the depth map. So you can take the picture and you can change the effect that you do with this depth map after you take the picture. And you can have third-party apps do completely new effects with that. And it's just it's such a powerful thing for photography that you could, one of the things that you couldn't do with a DSLR, not easily, right? To have these special effects that just work automatically.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be fantastic. So this one is definitely. Now let's get back to the screen size. So it's a bit different than I thought, because it's 5.8 inch compared to 5.5 inch on my Plus phone.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit bigger in theory.
Yes.
In practice, it's not. It's different because it's more like because it has a better resolution than the iPhone 7 or iPhone 8. So it's actually 3x, just like the Plus phone. But the points, so the width of the screen, like it's the same as the normal phone, so not as the Plus phone. So
it's actually a tiny bit wider. So like
it's wider physically, but the points are the same. The point size.
The same number of points on the screen.
So what it basically means is that the iPhone X will have what I will see on the screen of iPhone X will be the width of iPhone 7, just longer. Just taller.
Yeah, exactly. And also because like when you have the rounded corners and the notch, which we'll get back to, it doesn't interfere much with the available screen real estate in the vertical mode, but in horizontal mode, it cuts off like large chunks of the screen. And in horizontal mode, it's definitely worse than the Plus.
Yeah, but then again, there was lots of hype about horizontal mode on the Plus, and I remember me getting the iPhone 6 Plus mainly for the horizontal mode because I thought it was great. It was like having a small iPad in the pocket. And now after iPhone 6 Plus, 6S Plus, and now 7 Plus, I can definitely say that I basically hate the horizontal mode.
Yeah.
I really hate it. I hate the fact that it's tilting already. Like when I want to put it onto the horizontal, it just automatically switches to horizontal mode. I hate this. I very often block it because I don't want this to happen. The only time I use horizontal mode, and they never fix the keyboard. The keyboard is stupid on the horizontal mode because the keyboard is in the center of the horizontal mode, and my thumbs are not reaching the center. My thumbs are on the sides. The keyboard on the horizontal mode doesn't make any sense for the iPhone right now. I mean, and they haven't fixed it in iOS 9, iOS 10, iOS 11. So this is so stupid. It's beyond belief stupid. So this doesn't make any sense. The only time I'm using the phone in the horizontal mode is when I watch movies or watch whatever kind of content, which is video, and for that. iPhone X will be just fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like to me, I'm still on the Twitter low Twitter diet, but from time to time I will take a peek to like retweet the podcast or something and scroll for a few minutes, and it's just like to me it was ridiculous how people were all like really pumped up about how terrible it is that how ridiculous the notch and the rounded corners are in horizontal mode, and it's like, okay, it is true, but like how often you actually use that? Like, does it actually, like, is it actually that big of a deal?
No, it's
and
not.
I think not.
No.
I think not.
No, we just checked. We just checked on even in Nozbe. Like we started testing Nozbe on the iPhone. And yes, in the horizontal mode, it's shrunk, but on the vertical mode, where it matters, you just see more tasks, which is great.
It's great.
And that's all we want. I want to see more tasks. I can, when I'm going through my priority list, or through my tasks and projects, I will see more tasks. This is what counts. So great. I mean, for me, this is an improvement. And
I agree.
The thing about the notch. So let's talk about the notch now.
Yeah, let's talk about the notch.
Yeah. So the thing about the notch, what I really like, I think it's smart, because very, very often people said, just Apple should not get the notch. They should just totally, make small bezels there instead of the notch. No, I think it's brilliant. First of all, it has a very nice characteristic design. And the second thing,
it's a unique shape.
It's a unique shape, exactly. So there was the icon that leaked before the iPhone was announced, and it was brilliant, because now it's the iPhone X. Like, there is no, you cannot compare it to any Android phone or whatever. Like, this is iPhone X. That's it. So unique design. I think it was very smart on their part. And second, on the sides of the notch, there are there's the clock, and there is the other indicators. So they are not taking part of the screen; they are above it. So and I think it's very smart, because then the rest of the thing is the content that you actually care about.
Yeah, I thought what they would do is they would have the status bar, the time and the other indicators in the kind of top-notch area. But I thought what they would do is they would make that area black. That they would take advantage of the OLED screen such that information would blend into the bezel. Then you would see, this virtual bezel. But that is a controversial part, and they could have done it this way. But honestly, the more I think about it, the more I like it. I like it because it's honest. It's honest. It's honest design. You're not hiding your imperfections. The design is what it is. You need that top space for the sensors, and instead of trying to mask that, you're showing it off as it is. And I respect that in design, that when it's honest, when it just is what it is because of the constraints, and not trying to pretend that it's something else. So to me, this is fine. It is a constraint. It makes this weird. It's a challenge for UI design to not have a rectangle, but this complex shape with rounded corners and a notch. But I think it's fine.
Yeah, it's before like there were rumors about this phone. I thought Apple will pull this idea of hiding everything behind the screen. But I don't think it's doable right now. It's not doable yet. I think it would be still impossible to do. So I think this is why they did what they did.
Yeah, I'm sure they want to get rid of that notch eventually. But for now, this is to me, this is a fine compromise. It makes sense, and the thing about the shape is really interesting. I think Mike Hurley and CGP Grey discussed this on Cortex. How when iPhone became a thing, the shape of the exact shape of the iPhone became an icon, a representation of what a phone is. Right. It's a rectangle with rounded corners, which has a small rectangle, which has a button on the bottom and a line for the speaker at the top. And now this Apple wants this to become the unique kind of shape of what a smartphone is.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. So for me, this is not a big deal. I'm so happy I'm gonna have the full screen phone. I just can't wait to hold it. And the problem is that, of course, because it's a completely new design, and it's a very dramatic design, and I'm sure there are problems with components, with some parts of the phone. First of all, we will be able to order it soon at the end of October, and that's fine. And we will try to order it, in the minute one, but I'm sure we're gonna have it very late. I'm not sure if I get one on Christmas. So it's gonna be hard.
I think if we'll get it before the end of the year, it's going to be good, because it's likely that we don't. It seems like they really have serious production issues to keep up with the demand.
Yeah.
About the notch on the screen, one more thing that I wanted to add is Sometimes, especially after getting used to the iPad, I wish we had some form of iPhone multitasking. There are circumstances where all I have on me is my phone, and I need to do something with like pieces of data into apps. There are kind of flows like this. And right now it's really annoying. And Android for a while had this thing where you have a top and bottom instead of left and right, like on iPad, multitasking. And it works. Like it's really kind of weird because you have so little vertical space, but it essentially works, and it's better than not having it in some circumstances. And I think the interesting thing about the iPhone X is that because it has this unusual until now proportions of being like very tall compared to its width, it would make it more practical than ever before to have a vertical kind of split view. So I wouldn't be surprised if they announced in, say, iOS 12 some sort of iPhone vertical multitasking split view that would only be available for iPhone X.
Yeah, it's interesting. On paper, it sounds reasonable, but we'll see when we hold the phone in our hands. How much space you really have.
Yeah.
Because it all depends. But it's some kind of easier multitasking would be advantageous, especially now that we have drag and drop now. And exactly. With this drag and drop, we could be using more of drag and drop than before.
Yeah, true. So what do you think about the Face ID?
Yeah, the Face ID. Yeah, so I after seeing other companies fail at that, like miserably, really, the Face ID on Samsung phone, it's disaster. I mean, you just put any kind of picture and it just works. So it's to fake it is so easy. Well, they made a very convincing pitch about it. Like they really analyze all these dots and whatever thingies. They analyze the whole face like through and through, and you can do an emoji, which is
super handy,
preposterous. But they made the whole pitch, because I thought the Face ID would be like a substitute, like a worse substitute of Touch ID.
Yeah, exactly.
And they sold it as a better one. As a truly unique substitute for Touch ID, and they even gave some stats like it's so much better than the Touch ID, and I just can't believe it's gonna be so much better. So until I use it and test it, I'm not sure, because it just sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, this is my reaction. Before, like months ago, when we've heard the first rumors about Face ID, I was very skeptical. It's just like I'm like, I doubt you could actually pull it off. Like you could put something like this that would actually work very well. And work very well means both it doesn't have false positives and false negatives, right? If it continues to fail a lot, that's terrible. And if it analogs with just a picture of you, that's terrible as well. And I was like, no, of course not. Like this is just some random rumor, and of course they're going to put a Touch ID underneath the screen somehow, or maybe you do this terrible thing that a lot of Android phones do, which is put the fingerprint sensor on the back of the phone, but like, but they'll do it somehow. And then it turned out like more leaks came through, and it's like, oh, this is actually happening. And I was so skeptical. I'm like, oh man, this might be a disaster. And then as you're saying, they explained how it actually works, and it sounded very convincing. Now then they failed on stage, which actually wasn't a failure of Face ID. That was actually,
there was an explanation for that.
There's an explanation for that, which might make sense. So I'm going to ignore that that it happened. But I don't know, like it just seems so hard to pull something like this off, both in terms of the sensors and the computing and the accuracy. But if it does work, I think it's amazing. Like at first I was still like, even if it works, I can't see how it's better. But the more I think about it, the more I see that if it actually works, it would be better than Touch ID. Like I'm in this situation so many times that I can't unlock my phone because my finger is slightly wet or there's a piece of dirt on the sensor, right? It happens so much.
Do you remember me on our reunion? I had an issue with Touch ID on my iPad. Suddenly, it wouldn't register Touch ID, let alone let me in. It would just not register my touch for some reason. Then after it rebooted, I think it just started working again. But it wasn't very, very reliable. And yes. What I like about my phone currently, the 7 Plus, it is water resistant, so I'm not afraid of putting it next to some water, next to on the. So I get out of the shower, but then to unlock it, I have to put the code because it wouldn't just accept my finger.
Yeah. And my password is long because why would I have a weak password on my phone? It's just as much a computer which has as much information as my Mac, right? So I have a long password, but it's really annoying once you fail at Touch ID 3 times or 5 times or whatever. And then another situation which is really annoying is you don't live in California and it's winter and you wear gloves.
Yeah, I had to buy special gloves for that. Yeah.
Yeah, but even when you have special gloves, you still can't Touch ID.
True.
Right?
True.
So you have gloves which are which work with capacitive touch screens, but you still have to pull it out just to use your thumb. And with Face ID, you don't have this problem. You can just use your phone.
And in theory, it even works when you have your scarf and your cap or whatever, if you are covered with clothing.
Yeah.
So let's
as
see
long
how
as
this works.
you're not super covered, but you just have
but we usually are not super covered, but we do wear gloves in winter.
Exactly.
So this is a major problem. I just recently bought a special a running case for my iPhone, where it has a different kind of material around the home screen, so it can actually do Touch ID. Which is
really?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. So I have this special cover, and it's the only cover that first reacts to my touch at all, and then second actually even does allow me to Touch ID. So it's really cool.
That's really interesting. Well, by the time we push this episode out, it will be a week and a half, I think, until they start shipping the first iPhone X. So I'm really interested to see how it actually works out, because that, to me, that's the largest unknown right now, whether this will actually be a good phone or not. Because if Face ID doesn't actually work well, it's going to be a disaster.
Before we finish, I want to talk about some what you barely mentioned here, but I want to pick up on that, on geeks' reactions to new things. Because this is really interesting. So what you said about everybody complaining on Twitter in horizontal mode, it's going to be so bad. It's preposterous. It's going to be so bad. Blah blah blah. Like if it mattered, right? And second is the price. So people are complaining about the price, and I totally get that. People are complaining about the price, but first of all, this is a phone from the future. They won't be able to make as many of them as the iPhone 8 or 8 Plus. That's the first thing. Second thing, it's normal business practice. You have a freaking amazing phone, you're gonna charge for it. It makes sense. People will buy it anyway. And third, they just released Google Pixel Android phones, and they're not much more cheaper than this one. So really, you're complaining about the price of this? I mean, it is expensive. I totally get it. I'm privileged enough that I can afford to sell mine and just upgrade to the new one. And I get that not everyone will have it. But my gut reaction here is that people are complaining about the price because they want it and they can get it. That's like, for me, the only reasonable explanation for that. Because it is freaking expensive, but Apple did a very reasonable business decision with that and with the price. It's not preposterous. It doesn't cost it's not a golden watch, edition $10,000 kind of price. No, it's just slightly more expensive than the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, and only slightly, apparently, more expensive than some Android phones. So it's really not ridiculous.
Yeah, to me, it's annoying, but I get it. The part that frustrates me more is that the iPhone 8, which seems like a phone from the past, is more expensive also.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, seriously. Okay, I get you have this new shiny thing. It's really cool, $1,000, right? But you have this phone which has new hardware, but just feels like a thing that we've already forgotten about, because it's a phone from the past. It's behind, even though it has the latest processor and whatever. And at this moment where they charge such a large premium for this magical new phone, for the old crappy phone, which is also kind of new but also kind of old, they also charge a premium. Like they break the 5 or 7 year old tradition of charging $650 for the new version. That's weird to me. I mean, it's $50 more. It's not like a lot more, but I don't get it. Like, it feels so strange.
Yeah, especially that they changed the gigabytes thing. I mean, the storage capacity, 64, which is acceptable, but I wouldn't take it. And then you don't have the mid tires, 128. You already have 256. Yeah. So there is a big difference there. And of course, there's another explanation that right now these parts are kind of expensive and blah blah blah, which I don't believe so much. Yeah. So they also played with the storage tires. So that's also one of the reasons for the price change. But for me, really, I mean, I don't want to be hitting Android here, but really, Android phones are not that much cheaper. I mean, they're really expensive. And so I was when people posted on Twitter when they ordered the new Pixel thing, and it was $1,100 or 1.2. I mean, it was ridiculous. It's on the other hand, our phones are, as we just said, as we started the show, they are faster than MacBook Pro. I mean, they are already so fast. They are pure computers, and yeah, that's why they're also so expensive.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because the same thing happened with laptops over the last 5 years or however many. Like, you'd expect technology to get cheaper over time, but laptops have gotten, well, pretty much more expensive over time. Like, you have the cheapest of the cheap laptops are, getting cheaper. But if you want a good laptop, which is going to have a high resolution screen, a SSD, and whatever, the Windows ones are not that much cheaper from the MacBook Air or the MacBook One, which is surprising. Which is really surprising, actually. And it seems like the same thing is happening with phones. Obviously, you have super cheap Android phones, which are actually relatively decent. They're usable, but the high end is getting higher.
Yeah, there's a big difference between, as you said, a pretty decent, okay-ish phone and then a good phone. Like it's like, it's kind of, how come this is like 2 or 3 times the price? Is it really 3 times better? So yeah, that's the thing.
No, but that's kind of a good thing. Like, I like the way this has turned out with phones, that you have this magical technology of a computer in your pocket available to everybody. But at the same time, the iPhone has not lost. The high end has not disappeared. Mm-hmm. And we have this high end competition between iOS and Android, pushing the technology further and further. That's a great not every industry turns out this way, that you get both this both the initial innovator kind of getting rewarded and be able to still charge premium and innovate, and still get the basic technology so cheap that it's available to everybody.
Yeah, I always, for example, for me, this common something that we discussed in the episode about Panama, for example, the WhatsApp, right? Right now, WhatsApp is available to everyone. I mean, everyone, even with a cheap Android phone. So there is no, if somebody doesn't want, like, we have this thing sometimes when somebody doesn't want to join a WhatsApp group or doesn't want to have a WhatsApp on their phone, and they're digitally really excluded from what's happening in the group. And I'm saying, I'm not being, here, I'm not being posh here. You can have
Yeah.
any cheap Android phone works with WhatsApp. So it's not a question of being posh. It's a question of do you want it or do you want don't you want it? It's only this choice. It's no longer the question of money or no money.
Yeah, that's right. One thing we have to mention is wireless charging.
Ah, okay, yeah.
That's another finally, because again, Android has done it already.
Inductive charging. It's not wireless really.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it don't have to plug anything, right?
Yeah.
And Android has done it before, and we waited for a long time, and now we have it finally. And I'm really happy that Apple has done kind of the right thing and has gone with the cheese standard, that they've not invented their own thing, which only works with iPhones. Because to me, the thing about the technology as we have it right now is we have more and more devices which have to charge all the time, and the battery technology is not improving fast enough. So we're stuck with the world where you always have to charge everything. Yeah. And for me, in order for this future not to be very annoying, you have to have charging everywhere all the time. You have to have, kind of wireless or inductive charging in all of the places. Like you get to home, you put your phone somewhere, like on some charging pad, and it charges. You're in a cafe or something, you put your phone, and we've seen that before. I remember the both of us when we were in London, Starbucks had this, right? And this is what's necessary for this not to be annoying. Like once you have wireless headphones, your AirPods, and a watch, and an iPad, and an iPhone, like you have so much stuff to charge. It has to be simpler, and for this to be simpler, you have to have inductive charging, and you need to have it everywhere. And the only way for it to be everywhere is we agree on a common standard. And so it's great that Apple has done that.
They've done something smart, as they did with Bluetooth. They haven't invented their own thing. They are building up on the standard. So, for example, they introduced this Air Power or whatever.
Air Power. Should have been called Apple Juice.
Apple Juice, exactly. So they invented the Apple Juice. So it's the same, but a little bit better. But in the same time, it's still compatible with any cheese standard. So, for example, I can buy right now the cheap pads from IKEA and put them all over the house, and just whenever I put my phone, it's going to be charging. So this is cool. And being a husband of a wife who's a geek but constantly forgets to charge things. Constantly. Whenever I pick up her phone or her tablet, I'm like, okay, 1% again. It's like, I think about these things. She doesn't. So if I can put the pads in strategic places and she will put the phones there and the tablets there, she's going to be charging them. It's going to be great. It's going to be magic. She will be surprised by just lifting it up and saying, "Oh, it's charged." Like,
And the Air Power is the future. Like I really like the demo or the animation, because it's like, this is exactly what I imagined the future of wireless charging to be. But if I understood that correctly, they do want to make that an open standard.
Oh, okay.
And so I hope they do. But even if they don't, it's still much better than nothing, because it's still like backwards compatible.
Well, they also said about FaceTime that it's going to be an open standard.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So this one with a grain of salt. But anyway, I think it's very smart what they did. They did the same with Bluetooth, and then their W1 chip, and now the same with that. So to go with the standard and then build up on the standards for their own sake. So I think that's smart. It's really smart. It's good business practice, and it doesn't exclude us from having the good things.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing that's a bit annoying or concerning with wireless or inductive charging is the fact that to be able to do that, we had to go back to glass bags on the phone, which looks really nice, which is more grippy, but it's going to get shattered all of the time. A lot of people will shatter their glass all the time, and looking at the way iPhone 8 is constructed, like looking at iFixit, they have not really thought it through, or maybe on purpose, maybe not, in terms of how easy it is to replace it. Like, it's easy to replace the front glass together with the display, of course, but still. But the back glass, like, you really have to disassemble everything in the phone. It's going to be annoying and probably relatively expensive to fix that when it happens, and it will happen to a lot of people. And then to me, it's not a problem because I have a case, and on the back of the case, I have my ID and my credit card, which means I don't need to have a wallet because that's all I need. But then we have a problem of, wait, if I do that, will the inactive charging still work? And I guess the answer is probably not. And that's annoying.
Yeah. No, for me, I saw the drop tests of the new iPhone 8 and 8 Plus, and my iPhone 7 Plus is definitely better because of the aluminum case, and the jet black finish is like glass, but it's not glass. So I would prefer that kind of finish, not the glass. But yeah, we'll see, because I don't want to be carrying a case with my phone. I want to have it naked, just like I have the 7 Plus.
And right, because you used to have the same thing I do for the as your wallet.
When I was in Poland, I was carrying this thing as wallet, because normally I have my documents together with my car documents. That's why I don't carry them with me.
Okay.
With the phone. So I have in one pocket I have the car documents and my documents, and then on the other pocket I have my phone, and that's it.
Because the car documents are too large to fit on the case, right?
Exactly.
Why don't you keep the car documents in the car?
Yeah, it's complicated, because if you do that, then you might lose insurance, because they're like they would they might question your insurance then, and if they steal my car with the documents inside,
I see.
I might be screwed.
Right. One last comment about the price. It's $1,000 on the box, but what's slightly frustrating is it's not really $1,000, because it starts at $1,000, but it's 64 gigabytes, which is not bad for the a low-end iPhone. But if you're going that high, you probably want the $100 upgrade.
$150 upgrade. It's
really
$1,149. Yes.
Oh no. Okay. That's even worse. So it's $1,150, and you get just the shitty earpods in the box, and so true. Like, that's useless. You, like, if you're going to go in the future, you want better wireless headphones. That's going to cost you a lot, and of course they give you again shitty charger, the 5-watt charger for a phone this large. No. It should have been a larger charger, which is USB-C, and which can do fast charge, because the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10 can do fast charge, which is, again, finally, because Android had it for years, which is like, it's great. Like it's great for on both sides. If you're going wireless, it's everywhere, and if you're going wired, it's really fast. But of course, you need a separate accessory to do that. So
yeah, but the thing is, what surprised me was that actually it's not that fast. I mean, when you I mean, there's a big difference between the shitty charger they give you in the box and the iPad charger, like 10 watt or the 12 watt iPad charger. But again, and then again, with the 10 watt and 12 watt, there's barely any difference. It's a little bit faster, the 12 watt. But then the 29 watt, so the MacBook One charger, is just slightly faster. It's not, twice as fast or whatever. So like, for me, there is really no need to buy additional accessory for that. I will just use the iPad charger anyway. And the chargers I'm buying right now, also from Amazon, like the third-party chargers, are 2.1 amperes chargers. So they are like the iPad chargers. So really, it's fast all over the place. So I'm not really using the one that I'm the charger they give me. I give it to the person buying my last year's iPhone, and that's it.
Huh.
I don't even take out.
Have you seen it on the internet?
Yes. Yes. There was the whole. I will put it in the show notes. There's the whole chart of charging, and it's really just slightly faster. So there's really no need to upgrade to really a powerful power brick, because it's going to be a little bit faster.
Yeah, but what I would like to get a 30-watt USB-C charger. It would be great if it had 2 USB-C ports, because I would like to have first of all, it would be nice. It's not necessary, but it would be nice to be able to charge my iPad faster, because it can draw much more current than iPhone, and it has a large battery. But it would be great to be able to take just one charger with me while I'm traveling, and have it be able to charge my phone and my iPad at the same time, without any extra weird complications. And even if I take my MacBook with me, if I'm not going to use it like a lot, then this small charger would slowly charge and it will be fine. I wouldn't have to carry the small charger and this extra big brick. And I'm trying to optimize even more my travel packing, so it'd be nice.
There's in IKEA they sell you this small power brick. It costs I think $10, and it has 3 USB ports, and it has the fast iPad charge. I mean, not the 29 watt, but the 12 watt.
Yeah, but
it works. I tested it.
If I'm going to buy that, it would be great if it was USB-C already.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, USB has all different problems.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, anyway, no. Before we cut here, so having said that, are we getting one?
Of course. Come on.
Okay, so we're both getting one. Let's see when we get one. Is it before Christmas, after Christmas, early next year? We'll see when we get one. But we're gonna order on day one, on minute one, and we'll see.
We have to get one. Yeah. Well, I mean.
Yeah. I mean. One for you, one for me. I'm not getting one for you only.
No, I mean, like, we need it for work, right? Like, it's yeah.
Of course,
right.
It's work related only.
Totally.
I'd say there's nothing. Yeah, totally. Yeah, just for work. Not with Nozbe thing. We have to make
Yeah,
sure that
yeah,
Nozbe works perfectly on this phone. Only for that. You as a developer,